to make a big arts event work like Vintage at the South Bank Centre, you need fantastic collaborators who just get into the swing of it, get into the spirit, and just get on there and deliver something fantastic. And what's been delivered here and down the back of the sofa, and what Derby Museums have done, is universally lauded by everybody who's been in this building.
We've created a whole place, a house, a set called Down the Back of the Sofa, and it's made up of objects and furniture from our collections and a few things from charity shops that we've altered. Most of the things from the collection, they're relatively new, mostly from the mid to late 20th century. They're the things that people remember. They're familiar for people, so that it makes that connection and allows people to make that connection with the things that are shown.
The set dress is fantastic. It's being photographed by everybody. Everybody comes here because there's a bit of nostalgia, there's a great style about it. And above everything, there's great wit, and when you add that to the music, by Charity Shop DJ and Count Indigo and all the other lot who've been mixing in with it.
I suppose Down the Back of the Sofa for me is all about revaluing memories, revaluing objects, revaluing music. It's all about how all those disparate things come together in the form of memories, and how the memories form the person and the identity of the person. So the idea of delving down the back of the, never knowing what you're going to find, and sometimes you don't even know what you've lost until you find it. So it's all about that, the moment of being reunited with a memory or an object or a piece of music, and the stories that might create.
Yeah, it's just memories brought back by your set.
Yeah, it was like walking into maybe not my home, my uncle and aunt's home. There was a mixture. There was things I recognised from my own place and from families' places. And as Chris said, the wallpaper in particular.
I think it's nice how you can blend in with all the stuff and not just look at it. So you sit on the couch and you listen to the music and get the feeling.
It feels more like coming into a real home than in a museum.
Yeah.
Very interesting to come somewhere like this and actually feel like you're in an era, and you really genuinely feel that. It's like walking in the furniture and all of the records and the catalogues, everything. It's brilliant.
But it's comforting because there's that element of grandparents or aunties or neighbours who had dead fashionable chic houses at the time, which now is like, oh, that's shocking. But it's reminiscent of that. It's absolutely fantastic. Takes you straight there. It's not where I'm going, it's where I'm from, if that makes sense. It's not something that I aspire to have in my own home, but it's definitely somewhere you want to sit and enjoy.
The sort of stuff that you've preserved here, we can go up to our local tip and actually see our childhood. It's been basically tossed away in a skip, and we go around and look at, looking for little bits and bobs, and it's all up there in a tip. And if it doesn't get saved, then it is going to be gone forever, because really, it wasn't really that well made.
But I also think there's been a trend towards people being interested in social history as opposed to the grand living. People want to know how ordinary people lived, and in the National Trust now they open up all the servants' quarters, and that's the most important thing, because it's lovely if your ancestor was a duke or a king, but most of our ancestors weren't. So it's the small everyday items that you find most interesting, that tells the story of everyday people, and that's why it's important that an archive is kept, so that, because in 200 years' time these will be fantastic items to the next generation, so they have to be saved. And it is, what is fashion and history? It's yesterday, isn't it?
I think the set was really fun. It made you think of lots of things that go back from when you're younger. It made you connect with a lot of the stuff, like the vinyl covers, even if they're not mine. Thank goodness, some of them are my parents. And just seeing everyone having such a good time.
I thought the set was incredible. It was kind of visceral, lots of great kind of images there. It just took me straight back to my childhood, really. And I thought that the use of the kind of music and the DJs was incredible. I think they've done a fantastic job. Being able to go and pick your own record, have a picture with it, and then go and have the track played. It's a success for me. I think it's a great, great thing. And I'm going to go back and enjoy myself some more.
I think the value beyond it being just fun and nostalgic is bringing back memories, making you remember and connect to stuff which came before. And I definitely realise probably those years between 10 and 20, you're taking in a lot more. It's a lot slower, it's a lot deeper, and everything else goes on fast forward. So it's nice to go back and reflect.
I love it. It's home, it's 70s, it's growing up. Like the radiogram and the record player, the old-fashioned, switch it to 45, switch it to 33, wait for it to drop. You spent hours playing with it when we were little, which was fun. And I just loved it here. It's comfortable. Everybody, look round, everybody's relaxed. There's no stress and nobody's rushing.
Having seen all the stuff sort of in a nice setting and the way it's all been sort of designed so that everything fits together, it's sort of almost a little bit exaggerated in the way if you've got sort of stuff from all different periods in one room, it just sort of works really well.
Yeah, I'm loving all the wallpapered areas. It really brings the whole theme together, and you can just sit down and listen to the music.
So it's nice to see the old radios and radiograms back out, because some of the designs are incredible, really. You know, they're just wonderful designs, beautiful materials that we couldn't afford to use anymore. And so to have a space where you can bring them out and let people interact with them, I think is wonderful. You know,
it's an interior from 1981, but it's got objects from lots of different time periods, and that I think it's really important. In our homes, all of us have objects we've collected along the way, and so this interior really, I think it really shows that, because you know there's different objects mixed in together. It gives people a sense of a 1980s home in a more real way, I think.
Being a huge music fan, it was the sort of, I was drawn to the dance set and the radiogram. And the dance set, there's just something about it. And as a kid, I used to have this thing about smelling things, and I literally asked if I could lift the lid up, smelt it, and it literally took me back 45 years, just, I was there.
Well, we were so keen to get involved with Down the Back of the Sofa and to support Derby Museum in bringing their collection down here, because it's not what museums normally do. They're doing a great job of bringing their collections to people who wouldn't normally see them, and also who couldn't normally interact with them in the way that they are now, getting their hands on them, but also seeing them in context, in a setting. But it's interesting and good fun to get a different audience in there, especially in a less formal atmosphere, with the big bar behind us and the music at the other end of the room.
You know, it's good for people to talk about the past and the future and how we relate to each other. It's a fantastic idea.
You feel like an emotional attachment that you don't always get that in museums as well, if things are behind cabinets, and bringing it out into an environment like this is super important, I think, and especially to younger generations as well, where they're not learning in the same way that we learn, and it's all about kind of active learning. I think it's really good to provide this environment so they can feel an attachment to their past and their history as well.
And there's something about that texture as well. I think when you can actually touch things as well, there's something that brings it back.
Because these things are tactile, aren't they? How do you know what a chair's like unless you've sat on it? You don't.
You can touch things, you can, I don't know, you even get the smell of the sofa actually, I think, when I sat on there. And I think it's a really nice way of engaging with people and making them think about history and time in a different way to the way they would usually engage with museum objects.
They're kind of giving them a new life because people are seeing them here today, and people are appreciating them as well. And there's little tags, I just put a little tag or something, and people are writing, you know, oh, I had one of these when I was 5 or whatever it was, and it's recreating memories as well.
The kind of interactivity of it is really nice. Being able to, as you say, put the tags on them, and the fact that you can go and open the drawers, because I was just sort of looking there and then realised, oh, there's a drawer open. You start looking in there and they go through the cupboards, and I just like the way that there's more to than what you're just seeing at face value.
What I love about this, Derby Museum actually doing this, which is taking its collection, taking it out somewhere and showing it to the world, is wonderful. The charity DJ is terrific, that's wonderful.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Very nature of the whole concept of vintage being about a kind of top-down curatorial process, it was necessary for us to try and break that down to an extent and to see whether it was possible to create a venue which wasn't curated from above, but which was curated by the audience.
Flicking through the albums, we've all got album collections home, but they're all up in the loft. I never ever flick through them to look for music. That's quite, good to sort of touch and feel and remember through that way, I think.
To have a museum that thinks about what's going on now, brings it out of a storeroom and actually gets it playing, I think it's amazing.
Down the back of the sofa is about a lot more than just the museum. It's about working with other creative outfits and organisations who can connect with people. So Charity Shop DJ working with the music, connecting with people's musical heritage. Maison Fou, collecting people's memories in a sort of interesting librarian type way, and 1623 with the Romeo and Juliet performance related to the Joseph Wright. It's fantastic to be able to share the audiences that go to those sorts of events and connect with those sorts of organisations, connecting to the museum as well.
I hope that people do get to engage with these objects and realise that there is a museum behind this. And realise that this is a partnership that has been brought together so that people can engage with objects in a different way.
So Vintage has given us that chance to do that and to actually just get things out and let people handle things, look at things and share their experiences in a much more personal way.
We're really interested in the kind of mundane, ordinary stuff, and that is about the poignancy of the meaning of historical things to people. It's not necessarily about the history itself, it's about the meaning of it to people.
You can do these things and it can go badly wrong. You're putting yourself in a big environment, loads and loads of people here. Nailed it, absolutely nailed it, and good luck to everyone involved. And it's one of those projects that it deserves to be successful.
Oh, I don't know how to explain it. It's just fun and home and where we all came from.
An event like this demonstrates that the strength and the warmth that people have for their early lives stays with them all the time.
Dusting off the old stuff and bringing it out and having people be part of things. It was very inclusive. That's the thing I really liked about it. Great energy, great vibe, success.
Lots of museums around the country have got fantastic collections of public memorabilia. They've got collections of how we lived over the last century. And I think it's almost like a duty to get those out and to get people to see them, and it creates a great warmth, and I am grateful to Derby Museum for it, and I hope we can work with them again.